I'll just wait for the stream to go up. And... Hello, and welcome to the Team Magma Twitch. This is Dimsum here. Dimsum. I mispronounced my own name. And today we are streaming a match between BlitznBurst from the Goldenrod Rollouts versus Porengan from the Mr. Alton Jets. This is a really big match. These two are playing in the quarterfinals right now, or semifinals? Quarterfinals, I believe so. If I misspoke, I feel dumb. But regardless, they're playing for a very serious team tournament. We just saw Mancuso beat Unreality. This particular match could be part of the deciding factor as to whether or not the Rollouts are able to move on to the finals, the quarterfinals. Yeah, there we are. Whether or not they're able to move on to play the next team and see where they go from there. Yes, that is me on the mic. So, that aside, oh, That aside, these two are very storied players. Porengan being one of the top four people from the Germany regional this year, or national. Wow, I'm starting off well. The national this year, and Caleb, not necessarily an accomplished player, but a well-respected and well-known one. He's been playing for a while. He top-aided pretty far back in the Massachusetts regional this year in 2014, which is the meta we're playing, so that's definitely a relevant accomplishment going into this match. Both of these players have a lot of reason to want this match. They both want their teams to move on. NPA has been a big tournament. It's lasted forever. They are both probably struggling with... They probably both have been struggling with how they want to win this match. And how they want to get what they need for their teams. So, really, what it's going to come down to for these two is to a degree who wants it more, to a degree what their teams are going to be, and I think we're going to get into that team matchup here pretty soon. Hopefully, because I don't have too much to talk about. There we go. They're getting into the match now. I'm pretty lonely here. Oh. Alright, so Caleb is using a team that's pretty well known at this point. He's using something very similar to David Mancuso's team. He's using a team of Garchomp, Charizard, Ludicolo, Meowstic, Mawile, and Tyranitar. Presumably Mega Mawile and Mega Charizard. I haven't seen very many non-Mega Charizards. I think I've heard of a few non-Mega Mawiles, both pretty rare, pretty weird, and I don't know why he would use them. The Mawile Charizard pairing as double Mega has been pretty popular following Worlds this year. Showing up in a lot of regionals, a lot of regional wins with Talon, Cedric Bernier, and Mancuso, a member of BlitznBurst team, using them to really good success to win a regional. The other team we've seen, Gothitelle Mawile, also been very common. These two have kind of been competing with each other. I would say that the Charizard Mawile team has a little bit of an upper hand because Charizard significantly useful against Gothitelle Mawile. But that Gothitelle Mawile team can use Trick Room and Rock Slide. However, I don't know if that's even relevant because I don't know what Porengan's team is yet. But the important thing to understand is the meta-analysis there with those two teams that are so common. Porengan is known for using slightly less standard teams, slightly less fitting in with meta. His top four was using a team with Vivillon on it and Mega Gyarados. Mega Gyarados did win Worlds this year too. He focused more on setting up and controlling the game for one Pokemon to take control of the match. So... So it'll be interesting to see what he brings to this match, whether or not he'll be more gimmicky or whether he'll try to play a standard game with Caleb. Caleb's probably preparing with that Meowstic against potential gimmicks, potential Swaggering, Confuse Ray, Thunderwave, things of that nature. It can run Safeguard. It itself runs Swagger and Thunderwave to control the match. There might be some Safeguard Swagger shenanigans coming down from Blitz with his own swaggering and safeguarding and whatnot to hit his own Pokemon and do some damage. It's likely that Caleb's going to be trying to control whatever Porengan's bringing to the table. If Porengan's going to be going for this match, he's probably, and he's using the kind of gimmicky team that we've seen him use before, he's probably going to be looking to find an entrance into the match with some sort of controlling element, like his Vivillon was, like Mega Gyarados can be once it's at +1, with some sort of controlling element, and then following that, moving in to secure the match with some setup mon or with some just powerful fast Pokemon. We saw in the match prior to this one, if you guys were watching, where Unreality is playing Mancuso. Unreality was trying to use Kangaskhan and Smeargle to his best advantage, setting up the Kangaskhan, trying to get some momentum over Mawile. That didn't really work out that well because Mawile has a habit of beating Kangaskhan even when it's a +2, just kind of a thing that happens. So what that means essentially is that Blitz, if Porengan's going with a strategy that he has gone with before, is going to be looking for ways to stop that strategy in its tracks and gain control of the match. Really, it's going to be a momentum game, just like it is almost all the time with VGC. Sorry, just a drink of water. Boiler Room getting shoutouts. Yes, I'm also a member of the Boiler Room. That's not really relevant to this match. We see a lot of members of the Goldenrod Rollouts actually been members of the team, the Boiler Room, just separate from this. All right, it looks like we're getting into no Mancuso, you can't. It looks like we're getting into the match finally. Setting up the match. We're in team preview. All right. So, Porengan, I see an Alakazam, an Aegislash, or an Aegislash, Abomasnow, Smeargle, Nidoking, and Aerodactyl. It looks like the Meowstic's going to play a big role here, stopping Smeargle's Dark Voids if it's running Safeguard, and I believe Taunt is also an option, but mostly Safeguard. Much more common on Meowstic, much more effective for blocking those Dark Voids for a longer period of time. Porengan really has that speed and momentum thing going here. He has the Aerodactyl and the Alakazam to gain control of the match. Aerodactyl will be very effective in keeping Charizard from being brought, despite Abomasnow clearly being something that Caleb needs to worry about. Caleb is running the Ludicolo, and the fake-out pressure is pretty unique here. That Alakazam could be running Inner Focus, but really it's probably running Magic Guard. Magic Guard will block the hail damage from Alakazam, leaving it open to have a Sash or a Life Orb. More common items than Mega Alakazam. The Life Orb, significant damage. The Abomasnow is probably, Abomasnow or Aerodactyl probably the more likely Megas here. Obviously, I'm not sure about that. There are a lot of potential Megas that are not at all common Megas here. I think the Aegislash is the most common Pokemon here. All right, going into the match, Blitz on the bottom, Porengan on the top. And we're going to get into our opening leads here, see what our matchups are. Things that we need to watch out for, that Tyrannosaur can have a big impact on this match when Charizard is hard to bring. Rock Slide is a big factor and stops Abomasnow from having Perma Weather. Blitz leads with his Charizard and his Ludicolo, getting the fake out pressure on the potential Aerodactyl lead, so Charizard's safe. Aerodactyl and Abomasnow coming out for Porengan. I would say Caleb's definitely in an advantageous situation right now. Charizard has a pretty safe Heat Wave here if he goes for Fake Out on Aerodactyl. Abomasnow being forced to protect. He can also make a safe play, not necessarily Mega Evolving the Charizard right away, fearing the Mega Abomasnow. That could definitely have an impact on the match. He wants to get the Sun up and keep the Hail from being up, not necessarily for his own fire attacks, but to block that Blizzard from doing significant damage to his team. While he's not taking that much damage, a Mega Abomasnow Blizzard's still going to do pretty significant chunks, little 30-40% hits. That'll definitely add up over time, especially with Aerodactyl. However, if that's a Mega Aerodactyl and not a Mega Abomasnow, then it's a whole different story. He's not dealing with weather problems yet. If that's the case, he's dealing with Rock Slide problems. He's dealing with trying to gain control of the match. The issue with that being the Tyranitar. Tyranitar is going to give both of these Pokemon trouble if they're Mega, making it struggle pretty significantly from Porengan's end. All right, Blitz going for the Mega Evolution, getting the Sun up right away, not fearing at all the Mega Abomasnow getting the Hail, deciding that he can probably just go for that Fake Out Heat Wave right away. At least I think so. Aerodactyl going for Protect. protecting itself from the fake out so he doesn't take any damage, and Abomasnow also protecting. So Porengan, seeing that there's nothing significant that Mancuso can do, or not Mancuso, sorry, Blitz can do, outside of just that fake out Heat Wave, he's going to go for the double protect and keep his Pokemon alive. The following turn, then he can go for the Rock Slide, completely safe, blocking that Charizard off from attacking, and get the safe Blizzard down on any switch because Mega Evolutions happen after switches. Pretty well aware of that one. So since the Mega Evolution would happen after the switch, even Tyranitar coming in won't stop that Blizzard from hitting really hard on Caleb's side of the field, even negating the special defense boost. Caleb decides to switch out into Garchomp, not fearing that at all. Shiny Garchomp. He's also switching out Ludicolo, preserving the fake out for following turns, going to Tyranitar, getting the Sand up. Shiny Tyranitar as well, double shiny, that's fancy. Sand coming up, Porengan withdrawing his Abomasnow, deciding against Mega Evolving if it is Mega, and instead going out to Nidoking, turning into a pretty negative situation. He does Mega Evolve the Aerodactyl instead. Typically Mega Aerodactyls run Ice Fang. That might be a situation right here that he could hit Garchomp right away. Instead, Aerodactyl going for the safe Rock Slide, hitting the Charizard if it stayed in, doing negligible damage to Tyranitar and Garchomp, but Garchomp is now really afraid of that Ice Fang. Earth Power could be coming down on Tyranitar as well, and that could get an easy KO with Life Orb Sheer Force. So Caleb is playing from a little bit of a hole right here. Any potential Sash is broken. If that is a Scarf Tyranitar, it could still have a very significant impact, hitting the Aerodactyl pretty hard, but since it is Mega, Rock Slide's not going to KO it right away. Although it is likely to be Scarf Tyranitar. If it is Scarf, then it's also Jolly, and that's not going to get a KO either. So the struggle Caleb's in right now is fighting off that Aerodactyl, fighting off the Nidoking, which are both putting really significant pressure. Even if you were to double switch again, Porengan could go for the double protect here, unless that's a Scarf Nidoking, in which case there's a little bit more of a divide of what he could do. If the Nidoking can't be safe, then Porengan's got to protect it somehow. It's definitely an out for Tyranitar, it's definitely an out for Garchomp, and it has something of an impact in general because of those two. It's not necessarily helping that much against Ludicolo and Charizard here, though. So it's almost an insurance play against the Garchomp switch or the Tyranitar switch from Charizard, which is very smart from Porengan. Getting that control of the match is really important here. I think I mentioned earlier the momentum, really significant right now. Porengan's definitely holding that with the faster Pokemon or the Pokemon that can do the most damage. Garchomp going for Protect, fearing that Ice Fang right away. It's definitely a factor. Aerodactyl, yes, going for the Ice Fang, not even thinking about a switch. Rock Slide going down from Tyranitar to damage both Aerodactyl and Nidoking, but not getting any KOs. Potential for a flinch here on Nidoking. Nidoking wouldn't get the Earth Power off. Nidoking does not flinch, goes for Earth Power. Tyranitar taking pretty significant damage and falling to that Life Orb, probably Sheer Force. Probably Sheer Force Life Orb Earth Power right there. That's a lot of damage. Garchomp doesn't have Protect now, and Caleb doesn't have much to switch in aside from this Quack Pack. Ludicolo coming in for Caleb with the Fake Out, with the Scald, with the Ice Beam, potentially. All around pretty strong Pokemon in this situation. It's not advantageous for Nidoking to be fighting Ludicolo right now, and that Fake Out can stop Aerodactyl from impacting this particular turn. The big priority on Blitz's side is to get rid of the Aerodactyl, because Aerodactyl is stifling his plays with Charizard, and once Charizard is freed up, it can have an impact on the match, potentially outspeeding Nidoking, doing really significant damage with Heat Wave, and getting the clean damage that needs to be gotten, basically, for Caleb to win this match. There's a lot of Pokemon with a lot of health, and since Porengan has 4 to Caleb's 3, he has the momentum. Caleb has to find a way to get damage on both really quickly with his Mega and protect his Mega. However, that is a very fancy, shiny Ludicolo. Wondering what Quack Pack's going to do. Aerodactyl goes for Protect, fearing that Fake Out Rock Slide combination, probably. Nidoking also protecting, knowing that Fake Out is just going to be bad news for Porengan, destroying the momentum that he would have. Fake Out comes down. Garchomp going to go for a useless Earthquake, hitting only his own Ludicolo, probably putting it in range for a Skydrop the following turn. Just kind of really bad for Caleb. He saw that there was an avenue to get Nidoking down, but he couldn't quite get it. Garchomp loses HP from the Life Orb. Now, the question of what the Aerodactyl is going to do is really significant here, because it could Skydrop the Ludicolo, get it out of the way, and set himself up to win the match. However, Caleb could switch out into Charizard here, or he could go for Ice Fang and Garchomp. Garchomp going down would also be pretty good for Porengan. There's a lot of situations right now that Porengan benefits a lot from if he gets these KOs. And Aerodactyl, despite what it looked like on Team Preview, it has a very visible potential impact on this game. It turns out that a lot of speed and a lot of power do a lot of good things. Caleb looks to be really on his back foot here. It'll be impressive if he pulls it out, but I'm not necessarily going to be surprised. No, I'm totally going to be surprised. All right, Porengan, worse at battle test than Caleb, really significant element in this match. And Caleb's gotten more Pokemon. Or less, actually. Wow, Porengan going hard. What's the question now for Caleb is what he wants to protect, what he wants to defend this turn to keep any momentum that he has. Porengan making a little bit of a different play, protecting his wind condition Aerodactyl, going into Abomasnow to take away the sand and get the hail going. That could be a Scarf Abomasnow, or it could be just being used for that hail, and it could also be Mega. Either way, he's probably got Ice Shard to handle Garchomp. Garchomp going for Rock Slide, fearing that Aerodactyl, fair enough. Getting the potential 2-KO on Abomasnow, showing it's probably not an excessively bulky Abomasnow. Nidoking does go for Sludge Bomb. That's going to do big damage on Ludicolo. Ludicolo faints right away. I don't think it's necessarily that big of a surprise, knowing how damaging Life Orb, Sheer Force, Sludge Bomb is. So Nidoking is indeed very strong. I think up there, it probably does a little bit more damage than a Mega Gengar Sludge Bomb. That would be my guess. I haven't done the calcs myself. But basically what I'm saying is that it hurts, and Ludicolo should pretty much always faint from it. Sunlight turning harsh on the field, negating the hail, but that Aerodactyl is still going to be a problem. And if Porengan is able to secure a situation where he can go for Rock Slide and Ice Shard, basically, if he just lets Nidoking faint, he's got the match won. Or if he switches out the Nidoking into Aerodactyl pretty safely, but that's less optimal. It's hard to switch in safely. I think even a Sun-boosted Heat Wave would take it out from here. Garchomp wondering what to do. It's likely to go for the Rock Slide here. Probably trying to get that Abomasnow down before it can take out Garchomp. But the issue is that Caleb's still playing on a back foot. He's really gotten behind because of this Aerodactyl, and it's unlikely that he can bring it back. Especially with the form of priority on Porengan's team, and especially with that Nidoking that's staring down the game, that's still got a lot of health. It's not necessarily going to faint to a Heat Wave unless it's a high special attack Heat Wave, and it needs to be Earthquaked. Abomasnow gets returned, preserving that threat for later, and preserving the potential for Hail and Ice Shard. Porengan playing pretty defensively to maintain his win conditions, which is really smart. He feared the Protect. Sludge Bomb going down on Charizard, that's going to do a whole lot of damage. Charizard going for a big Sun-boosted Heat Wave on both of these Pokemon. If that's a lot of special attack, it can get a KO. Looks like Durangard, Aegislash, taking a ton of damage. Nidoking faints. Aegislash hanging on with a sliver of health. I think that's almost bad for Porengan right here, because, as I said, his optimal situation is to get Aerodactyl and Abomasnow in at the same time. So what Caleb needs to do is to somehow knock out the Aerodactyl without touching that Aegislash, because if Aerodactyl protects and Aegislash faints, then Porengan almost automatically wins the match 90% of the time, where Rock Slide hits Charizard, or yeah, pretty much any situation where Rock Slide hits Charizard. So what Caleb's got to do is somehow prevent Aegislash from fainting before Aerodactyl does, and that's going to be hard considering he's got so many spread moves on his side of the field that are very, very tempting to use. And that Aerodactyl carrying Protect also going to be very problematic for Caleb. It just looks to me like Caleb's going to have a tough time winning this one. It really is a momentum thing. It took those first two turns having a huge impact on Caleb. Getting the match set in Porengan's direction, Porengan making some very smart plays, defending his Pokemon, making sure his threat stayed alive. That Aerodactyl is playing a huge role this match, and using some unconventional stuff so that Caleb didn't know what was going to be Mega, didn't know how to play necessarily, puts him on the front foot where Caleb is on the back. If they're dancing a tango, Porengan is definitely leading, so to say. Durangard going for Wide Guard, Aegislash going for Wide Guard. stopping those spread booms I mentioned. And they're actually going right for the Ice Fang. Ice Fang misses. Garchomp going for Rock Slide, not Dragon Claw. So unfortunate. Heat Wave also failing into that wide guard. Looks tough for Caleb. Garchomp probably should have gone for that Dragon Claw there, but no big deal. He thought that he could get one of those KOs there, predicting either Rock Slide or Ice Fang to come down. But the wide guard really caught him off guard. Almost cost him the match right there, but Ice Fang missing on that 95% accuracy. So just really unfortunate for Porengan. Really smart play from him. He should have locked up the game right there. It's kind of questionable because Caleb's still trying to play for some kind of luck. Rock Slide has to miss, Ice Fang has to miss, something has to give for Caleb to win. And the struggle then that Caleb's in is that he has to, since he just blew that opportunity to hit the Aerodactyl with a Dragon Claw, Life Orb Dragon Claw, obviously being able to take it out even from that amount of health, which is around 30 to 40%. He's got to find a way through this big impenetrable defensive speed that Porengan has set up, and that's unlikely. I don't think it's necessarily going to happen for him right now. I still think despite that situation that Porengan put himself in, really smart play, definitely the right move to go for that wide guard. He just got kind of screwed out of it by that Ice Fang. Garchomp going for Protect, predicting another Ice Fang, presumably. If he goes for Rock Slide here, then it's a whole different story. Aegislash going for another wide guard. Aerodactyl going for Rock Slide this time, predicting the Garchomp Protect successfully. Charizard fainting. It looks like GG. Blitz has probably lost this match to either Ice Fang or Ice Shard. Yeah, really well played by Porengan. He's got a great wall set up by his speed, by his Pokemon, by his Mega Choice, and he really caught Blitz off guard this match. Blitz going for the forfeit, one of the most optimal plays to speed up these games, and it's really well played. 1-0 Porengan, keeping his team alive. Keeping his team alive right now. Since Mancuso's already taken a win for the rollouts, it's a really big deal that Porengan wins this match to keep the Jets in it, go to the 3-2 instead of the 4-1, and have Blitz automatically take the team into the next round. So Blitz is also fighting because he really wants to take his team in the next round. He doesn't want to be stopped by Porengan here, and he doesn't want to put all the pressure on Darkness and Worm's Eye. That match could, with both of those players, could be a little bit more unpredictable. Obviously, any match in NPA can be unpredictable because it's based on how you're playing that day. But either way, this is a really big match, really big deal. We're getting to later rounds. We can see what's happening. All right, so it comes up again to team preview. Porengan fighting for that tie with an Alakazam. Not necessarily the strongest of Pokemon, so he's not going to be bench pressing anything. But he is going to be thinking about a lot of stuff, and while he thinks about it, that stuff will start dying, which is pretty bad. He probably shouldn't kill anything, so hopefully he's just knocking things out. Notably, all of Porengan's Pokemon are male. The potential for bench pressing still very relevant, despite it being a sword, a Yeti, a Painter, a Pterodactyl, and a Dinosaur. So, what it's going to be for Caleb here, he's struggling with needing to win this match. What he's got to do in Team Preview right now is figure out how to deal with that Mega Aerodactyl. Now that he knows what the Mega is, he's not afraid of Mega Alakazam, he's not afraid of Mega Abomasnow. He's got to find an avenue with Ludicolo, with Mawile, something that's going to give him some momentum this following match. The thing is, Nidoking is going to deal with Mawile. So, excuse me. Even if Mawile is really effective for dealing with Abomasnow and Aerodactyl and Alakazam, and to a degree, Sucker Punch can help against Aegislash, he's got to deal with Smeargle and he's got to deal with Nidoking. Smeargle can get that Dark Void down. Nidoking can one-hit KO instantaneously with that Earth Power boosted by Sheer Force and Life Orb. So Caleb's definitely got to find an out for all this momentum that Porengan has, even in Team Preview, going down to these last few minutes to figure out what he wants to use. Going into the match here, 4-on-4, obviously. All right. I will say it's very tiring vocally. I applaud Scott and Evan for their excellent vocal stamina. Caleb going right away with the Meowstic and the Ludicolo. Nidoking and Alakazam coming out for Porengan. Alakazam has that trademark speed that has been true of Porengan's entire team so far. Nidoking, very powerful, very capable of hitting hard, but either of these Pokemon, Meowstic and Ludicolo, aren't going to get necessarily KO'd. There is the Sludge Bomb option against Ludicolo, and that probably will take it out regardless if it's Life Orb, Sheer Force. If it's not Life Orb, which I've basically been assuming it is, based on how Porengan's been playing it, based on how he's been pretty safe with it, not leaving it in against Charizard, then it wouldn't be able to get the KO, but it did switch moves earlier, so it is likely to be Life Orb, and it is likely to be able to get the KO on Ludicolo. Ludicolo's got to play it safe. Ludicolo switching out right away, fearing that Sludge Bomb, going to Garchomp. We'll see if Porengan saw that one coming, went for the Ice Beam. That would be very impressive. Meowstic going for Swagger, right on Alakazam. Alakazam has no defense stat. Well, it has a defense stat, but not a very significant one. If it were to hit itself, it would hurt a lot. It'd be a little bit like stabbing itself with one of the spoons. Alakazam does not hit itself, though. Goes for the Psychic right away on the Garchomp. Did he see that switch coming and go for the Sludge Bomb and the Psychic? Sludge Bomb coming down. That's not going to be very effective on a ground type, though, so Garchomp is able to hang on for another day. The thing is that Alakazam will outspeed Garchomp. So despite being confused, there's definitely some fear there. Caleb wants to get some damage down on Alakazam so that it doesn't have as much of a high-risk factor for Garchomp. Nidoking going for Protect, showing that it's definitely not choiced. Thunder Wave hitting Alakazam. Oh, we already knew that. Thunder Wave hitting Alakazam, keeping it slow so that it can't touch Garchomp. And Garchomp can go for Earthquake to do massive damage to both Nidoking and Alakazam, potentially getting a KO since it is Life Orbed. The thing about that Life Orb, though, is it's going to keep it down to just 2 more shots this entire game if it gets to attack twice, and a Hail will take out even more from it. So Caleb's really got to preserve this resource because Garchomp's going to have a big impact. Porengan making the excellent play turn 1, getting that Garchomp on the switch in, definitely having a huge impact on this match. So Caleb kind of didn't preserve this particular condition well enough. That Thunder Wave was really well placed, definitely keeping Alakazam as a lower threat factor. And Meowstic and Garchomp are sitting alone on the field versus the high IQ Genius and the Dinosaur with a horn. Porengan has been evaluated by the judge a lot. I think he breeds his own Pokemon, as a lot of us do. It's really up to, right now, these opening turns, as it was last game. The momentum can't be taken away from Caleb so quickly if he wants to win this match. And Porengan, seeing once again that he has to preserve a win condition, switches out Nidoking and Aerodactyl, fearing that Earthquake. Alakazam may or may not protect here. It depends on how much he values it, but Alakazam does avoid the Swagger. Garchomp going for Earthquake onto his own Meowstic. That's probably going to do around 50%. Alakazam's not going to take it so well. Goes down, hangs on with a Sash. That's the reason for the Magic Guard. Alakazam barely hanging on with a little sliver of health, but it's paralyzed and it can't move, so even the Swagger Miss didn't have any impact. But Aerodactyl is still out there, and Mega Evolving and Rock Sliding will probably get rid of both Meowstic and Garchomp. Caleb's definitely still on the back foot here. He doesn't have a whole lot to do. He was definitely thinking with that Meowstic that, or not definitely, but he was probably thinking with that Meowstic that he could catch this Smeargle lead. But Porengan's highly aggressive Alakazam, Nidoking, both powerful special attackers, made it so that Caleb needed an answer where he didn't have one. That Ludicolo Charizard lead that he led game 1 probably would have been more useful. The struggle about these games is that you have to go into it and think about what you're going to be able to do the match that you're coming into with what you get, with what you give yourself. So Ludicolo comes in, bringing that fake out pressure. Aerodactyl going for Protect. Garchomp also going for Protect, fearing any of Alakazam's attacks, really thinking that Aerodactyl might Protect, and also fearing the Aerodactyl's attack, since it would outspeed. Ludicolo is in now, though, so that fake out pressure is really important. Puts Aerodactyl in a degree of risk. Life Orb Rock Slide is probably going to do around 70 to 80%, even a Mega Aerodactyl. Maybe a little less. So Blitz is just trying to find the momentum that he's looking for, trying to not have what happened last game happen, where he gets checkmated on turn 2 or 3 by that Aerodactyl. So far it hasn't happened, but that Garchomp is such an important factor that is really getting negated by the amount of damage it took early on. Definitely a very risky play that hurt him a ton going into that opening turn. Alright, it looks to be that it's a very, it's difficult to think about. Porengan, not wanting Aerodactyl to take any damage from a potential fake-out Rock Slide, decides to go into Aegislash and block that damage. Garchomp, realizing that it's very important, runs back to Caleb, gets in the Pokeball, and tells Meowstic to go out. Meowstic coming out, being all beige and things. No, that's Peach. It's definitely Peach. Meowstic is peach-colored. And it eats a Peach upon coming in. It was prevented from eating that Citrus Berry by Unnerve. But Ludicolo goes for Scald on the Aerodactyl slot. No burn. Alakazam going for Psychic on the Garchomp slot, but there's no Garchomp there. So Meowstic's going to take that with the Citrus Berry that it just ate, taking about the same amount of damage. Since Alakazam isn't running a Life Orb, sometimes Magic Guard Alakazam does, but we saw a Focus Sash, and we know that Nidoking's almost definitely holding a Life Orb. It's not doing any more damage than that, not getting the 2-hit KO. So now Caleb needs to find an out to the Aegislash. The problem is that Porengan's bulky Pokemon give Caleb's strong Pokemon a lot of trouble, and his fast Pokemon are stronger than Caleb's fast Pokemon. So, I would say that Caleb almost made a mistake bringing Charizard Game 1, because he has to deal with this, but Swagger is a great option for dealing with Aegislash. This switches forms and lowers its own defense, and increases its attack, so it hurts a lot when it attacks itself. Scald going down on Alakazam, getting rid of it for good, sadly. Paralyzed Alakazam doesn't really have a whole lot to do. It did far more than it should have, being at 1 HP and slower than everything else in the field. Aegislash switching to Blade form, putting itself in a threatening situation, and attacks itself, doing over half, putting it in range for another Scald in or out of shield form. That Aegislash, the threat dealt with right away. Nidoking coming in, threatening the Sludge Bomb, threatening any attack on Meowstic. Meowstic can faint. Ludicolo trying to look for a way to deal with Nidoking here. Caleb's in a better situation than he was last game by far. He's up 4-3 instead of Porengan being up 4-3. And he's got a strong Pokemon to help him here. That Dancing Pineapple. Really Hawaiian fresh, I would say. Nidoking, not quite so much. He looks a little bit more angry. He's probably pretty mad that Meowstic convinced his partner to hit himself. Nidoking being a big boss. Doesn't like that. And that's my sense of humor, everyone. So, the thing with it is, though, is that Caleb's in the situation he was turn 1. He doesn't have a lot of aggressive power. He can't get any knockouts. But he does have Swagger. And Swagger can do a ton of damage, and damage control for that matter, keeping Nidoking potentially from attacking. It's already prevented Aegislash from attacking and made it a lot more manageable. So Meowstic is really having a bigger impact here. It's a good thing that Caleb brought it, because it's keeping him in the game right now. And Ludicolo also turning into a big threat if Porengan is unable to get the KO right here. Sludge Bomb does a lot of damage, but he's got to find a way to get it off the field, because it's going to hurt Nidoking. He can get the KO on Aegislash, and it's kind of threatening to the Aerodactyl no less. Scald doing a lot of damage, Ice Beam doing a lot of damage. Meowstic going right for Swagger on Nidoking, knowing it's a special attacker. Porengan really just hoping his Pokemon don't hurt themselves right here, and hoping they have logical brains. Caleb just trying to play the situation and not necessarily approving the Swagger. But there we go, the confusion. Nidoking hitting itself, taking a pretty significant chunk. Scald going down on Nidoking, or no, not Nidoking, sorry. Aegislash. Aegislash faints while still in Blade form. Porengan thinking that Nidoking was a bigger priority for Caleb to get rid of. Cannot apply for the boiler room. And Aerodactyl coming in, Caleb in this 4-2 lead, very different from last game. Now he's got to deal with that Aerodactyl, and if he just swaggers the Aerodactyl, he puts himself in a situation where the Aerodactyl can get out of confusion and get a lot of KOs with Rock Slide. So he's got to be really careful about how he plays this, since it's so fast and so strong. However, he does have that Nidoking confused. All he needs to do is get rid of that. Garchomp is on 10 health, so this definitely is not an unwinnable game for Porengan. Garchomp could faint to its own Life Orb or faint to a Rock Slide. If Caleb's last is Charizard, he's basically got 2 already fainted Pokemon in the back. So he's got to struggle with how to win this match, despite that Aerodactyl being a huge threat with speed. He's played it really well so far to get up to the 4-2, but handling this momentum, handling it without everything just hitting itself, without convincing Aerodactyl that he's not worth, it's not worth attacking Ludicolo. He's got a little bit more of an uphill battle here. Aerodactyl going for Protect, fearing some sort of play from Meowstic or Ludicolo. Meowstic going for Charm, very smart choice of moves here. Charm is going to definitely prevent Rock Slide from doing damage to Charizard, but Porengan makes a really smart play here, goes for the Earth Power on Meowstic instead of the Sludge Bomb on Ludicolo, and keeps his own offensive pressure, but Scald, hitting Nidoking, gets the KO, and now we got a whole nother game here. Rock Slide, if that's Charizard in the back, Rock Slide has to flinch that Ludicolo. It has to do something to get rid of Ludicolo, because Ludicolo is going to do a ton of damage to Aerodactyl, very frail flying bird right there, with purple wings. Oh, I see. Yeah, the Boiler Room is not related to me or the Boiler Room. There's someone trolling. Anyways. Yeah, they don't have the speech style of any of us. Garchomp comes in, fearing Rock Slide, of course. It's gonna hit both Pokemon, knock out Garchomp. But that probably means Charizard's in the back. So Caleb's really hoping not to get flinched right here with Ludicolo, so we can keep up the pressure and get that Scald down on Aerodactyl. But Rock Slide's gonna hurt. There's no Intimidate here for Caleb unless he brought Mawile, and if he did, he would have just brought it in right there. So Garchomp's in. Porengan has to go for Rock Slide. Porengan has to hope not to get burned or to get a flinch. And maybe Rock Slide will be able to 2-hit KO. I don't know my Aerodactyl calcs that well. Aerodactyl, Rock Slide does hit both Pokemon. Garchomp going down right away. Not getting the 2-hit KO range on Ludicolo, so he's really hoping for that flinch or Scald to burn, or Scald not to burn. Scald going down on Aerodactyl does pretty significant damage, knocking it down to the 20% range, not getting the burn, so there's still hope for Porengan. Charizard coming in. You probably shouldn't Mega Evolve because Scald's just going to do less damage, but regardless, it'll probably get the KO. Ice Beam is perfectly relevant here as well. The big thing that Caleb has to hope for is that Rock Slide doesn't flinch, because he's gotten all these swagger hits, and as everyone knows, Hax Gods obviously prefer helping someone after they've been hurt. That's not true. There have been a lot of really painful stories. Charizard Y, Mega Evolving right away, no fear. Potentially living on Rock Slide if he's really, really bulky. I don't remember whether or not Charizard Y gets a defense boost at all. I think it's very marginal if it does. Aerodactyl goes for Protect. Fearing pretty much anything that could knock it out, pretty much any attack. Charizard goes for Protect as well. Porengan realized that there was a good likelihood that Charizard would go for Protect. And he can't go for Skydrop here, obviously, if he has it, because if he did, when he came back down, he'd be hit by Solar Beam and knocked out immediately. So Porengan really hoping for that flinch. If he does have Skydrop, it's irrelevant, because if he went for Skydrop, then when it came back down, Charizard would kill stuff, or knock stuff out. Charizard going down to the Rock Slide. Will Ludicolo flinch? That is the big question here. Ludicolo does not flinch, goes for Scald in Sun. It's almost definitely going to be able to take it out, and Aerodactyl faints, falling out of the sky, sadly, onto a mountain, and just crying really all night. There's a lot of Rock Slide that need to happen. Yes, okay. Thank you, Scott. I will refresh my browser. Probably also get some more water. Yeah. Haven't done this much before, but that's no excuse. So we go to game 3. Caleb trumping Porengan's incredible momentum and control with the fast and powerful Nidoking and Aerodactyl, and not a bum us know that game. Some really smart plays and a lot of swagger. That had a big impact. Porengan, Blitz probably, well, no, he shouldn't have made it on the Protect, but it was probably more habitual than anything. Not quite that much swagger anxiety. Porengan, once again, got to decide what to do. He tried to bring Alakazam last match over Ramosno, and it didn't really turn out that well. I think the Meowstic coming in was a little bit of a surprise to him, and Thunder Wave has a huge impact on fast, frail Pokemon like Alakazam. This chat is pretty weird. Smeargle could definitely be an option in this game 3. We see Pokemon like that being held until the opponent is lulled into a false sense of security, and then Dark Void, and they're lulled into a little bit more than a false sense of security. They're actually just asleep, having bad dreams. Aegislash is a ghost. It does... One of the things about that, Aegislash and Nidoking are kind of deterring the Mawile pick, because Charizard is more effective dealing with them because it's faster, it's strong. Basically, I think Caleb, why he's asking, you didn't need to set up the Sun on the Protect that you had if you're going for Protect, since Solar Beam wasn't gonna be used that turn anyways, and you kept Scald's damage high. But it's irrelevant because Scald wasn't gonna miss the KO anyways. 80% does not have and go to 16. It goes to 40. Blitz versus Porengan, Game 3, coming in here. We see the Coke shirt, classic Coke shirt. Porengan issuing a challenge. Alright, so Meowstic and Ludicolo led once again, Caleb deciding to go with what works. It's a pretty common strategy in VGC. Thaddeus and Thalnos. So we do see the Smeargle right away at Game 3, leading off, big threat, but the thing about it is, Caleb probably anticipated that, because that Meowstic is potentially has Safeguard as this last move. We've seen Thunder Wave, we've seen Swagger, and we've seen Charm. If Safeguard is that last move, then Dark Void's not going to be relevant at all, and Caleb's also got the Fake Out pressure, so we can get a little bit of control right now, and negate some of what Porengan can do with the Momentum Thief, Smeargle, and his sleepy antics. The question now is that since we haven't seen Abomasnow do a whole lot of anything, whether or not it's carrying Choice Scarf, it's not carrying the Focus Sash, so Porengan is trying to get some sort of weather control here, and it's a little bit odd. The big thing that Abomasnow is doing for him is putting pressure on Garchomp, and he needs that Garchomp to be pressured so that he doesn't have to rely on Ice Fang to hit, because that didn't work that well first game. But in all seriousness, he doesn't rely on Aerodactyl to deal with it, because Rough Skin damage is pretty significant. Aerodactyl's probably going to be wanting to go for Rock Slide more often than not, and if it has Skydrop, it might actually use it on Ludicolo this game. So he's really got to preserve Abomasnow if he wants to use it for that purpose. The question is whether or not Thalnos, the artistic dog, is going to be having a big impact this match. Since it is different, and Porengan bringing it, trying to win this Game 3, trying to take it. Okay, so it is double Mega. Abomasnow is Mega Abomasnow. See, I was right. Abomasnow, with that Mega Stone, transforming into a much bigger Abomasnow with a lot more special attack. Ludicolo going straight for Fake Out on Abomasnow. And Meowstic's fourth move is Safeguard, blocking any potential Dark Voids coming down. Dark Void failed because of Safeguard, and it looks like Smeargle's presence is pretty much negated right now. Now Caleb has to find a way to deal with the Mega Abomasnow. Since it is Mega Abomasnow, that Aerodactyl may or may not be sitting in the back and being Mega. Moody boosting the defense, but lowering the special attack, which is actually kind of good, but either way, Porengan's not going to be wanting to stay in with that thing unless it has something else to do on the field. The big thing that Smeargle does is Dark Void, and when it can't Dark Void, it doesn't really have a whole lot to do. Stuff's not sleeping. Even though everything is shiny. It's a really shiny field, actually. Ludicolo switching out, going to Riley Hopper the Mawile. We just saw Riley Hopper help Mancuso win the game, putting a big target mark on Abomasnow's back. Thalnos going for Follow Me, so Smeargle does have something to do other than inflict status, pretty commonly. Follow Me is one of the moves that it brings really often. Oh, sorry. Yes. I don't know, I'm going to refresh the stream real quick, because apparently the lag is bad. I apologize. Oh gosh. It's a little bothersome. Okay. Almost back. Alright, it's probably because I've been using the wrong stream. Oh god. Have I been using the wrong stream? Alright, it's fine. It's fine. We'll get this game down. Everyone will actually enjoy the commentary. Alright, so we're up with Meowstic and Riley Hopper. Riley Hopper's taking a lot of damage. I didn't see whether that was a Blizzard or not. If it was, that did really significant damage, but the thing to remember is that regular Mawile does not have a big special defense stat. Whether or not it can take another Blizzard, or a Blizzard in general, if it hasn't taken one already, is really the question. Follow Me is a big threat, though. Iron Head does a lot of damage, but the thing is, it needs to be doing a lot of damage to Abomasnow. If it's not hitting Abomasnow, Abomasnow is going to get KOs with Ice Shard and a Blizzard that will definitely make Mawile less relevant in this match. Mawile going for Protect, trying to protect itself, but it's still going to take hail damage. Abomasnow fearing something from Mawile, presumably, goes for Protect, and Smeargle having followed me to Swagger the previous turn, goes for Follow Me once again. The interesting Protect Follow Me play, very common among high-level players. Probably going for the Smeargle to get KO'd right there. He might have wanted the free switch that can be garnered by making a play like that. Mawile taking hail damage, putting it in range, probably for the Blizzard. Abomasnow is no slouch. The thing about it is, Abomasnow's speed falls when it Mega Evolves. So, it's going to be slower than Mawile, and Porengan needs to find a way to get this Blizzard down without getting knocked out first. The thing about that is, Ludicolo does have Fake Out, and Fake Out can stop either the Follow Me or the attack from Abomasnow. So it's probably optimal for Porengan to be switching out right now, rather than trying to preserve a situation that's really disadvantageous for him. Safeguard is... Oh, sorry. Safeguard is definitely keeping that Smeargle from having a bigger impact on the match than it is actually having right now, which is pretty much just being Follow Me bait. The question is whether or not he'll try to sack it again, or if he'll just stay in and... or if he'll just switch out right now. Both these Pokemon could do well to switch out, especially if the Smeargle is confused, potentially hitting itself. The thing is that Mawile is so low on HP, it's almost enticing to go for a KO on it. Instead, Porengan does decide to switch out of Abomasnow wisely. Ban commentators. I'm sorry. I'm ahead now. Alright, I'm gonna go back and get on the different stream. This is really funny. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna give it a second. Yes, Abomasnow does end up switching out. I apologize. Okay. Alright, so he switches out the Abomasnow into Nidoking. Nidoking coming in pretty safely here. Smeargle staying in, confused, obviously. Soap's confused, he's an artist. Goes for Spiky Shield, keeping itself safe from a Scald or an Iron Head. Yeah, it's awkward because one stream that I have is ahead and the other one is behind, so. Oh well. Right. So, Spiky Shield. I believe Nidoking gets knocked out right here. Yes, it does. By Scald or by Iron Head, I'm not sure. Potentially a double target with Scald Iron Head. Apologize for the commentary issues. We're just trying to get that all set up, but it's a little difficult right now. Alright. Smeargle has the Moody. Keeping himself with stats boosted and changed. The thing with Safeguard is that it's going to run out pretty soon here. It's kind of interesting how the Jets have two people that were playing Smeargle. So Smeargle potentially staying in to keep those Moody boosts could be really relevant because then it can be going for Dark Void over and over again if Meowstic's not in there. Mawile still providing a big threat to that Abomasnow with a Hail Up, but Hail can actually go down too. So we've got two different timers. We've got the Safeguard and we've got the Hail. And these two things are both having a big impact on the match. Hail damage hurts Mawile and keeps Blizzard as a relevant thing since it's much lower risk. Yeah, Nidoking's very dead. I apologize. It's very knocked out. Quad Blake team. Yes, we have a lot of Blake teams, or they do. So the thing with it here is that Porengan needs to find a way to get that Abomasnow safe by knocking out Mawile while Mawile's on such low health, and also keep Smeargle as a relevant factor in this match, and he should have it locked down. The thing about it is that even if Caleb were to lose this match, per se, or so to say, he's still got one more match, and the worst the rollouts can come to is a tie, since they're already 3-1. Ludicolo switches out, going to Tyranitar to change that Hail into Sand, no longer hurting Mawile, and putting pressure on both Smeargle and Abomasnow. Sand damage is pretty strong. Mawile goes for Protect, fearing a Blizzard, fearing really anything. Smeargle is really confused, still hopelessly confused, but goes for Follow Me anyways, overcoming the confusion, finding the meaning of life. Blizzard goes into the Sand, but it does hit Tyranitar. There's a risk of freeze here, but it does not freeze. So, that's good. Tyranitar is still in, can still go for that Rock Slide. It's not going to get any KOs. Safeguard finally runs out. Unfortunately, Smeargle's getting a special attack boost and special defense falls, so no speed or evasion or accuracy, which are all very relevant to Dark Void spamming. However, Dark Void spam, still a very big risk for Caleb. Reveals risk. Nice. What's going to be important here for everyone in the match, finding a way to deal with that Abomasnow from Caleb's side, and finding a way to deal with Mawile from Porengan's side. He's going to want that hail up. He's going to want to be doing damage. Optimally, he gets it in Ice Shard range, so he doesn't have to worry about getting damaged by any more than Sucker Punch. Iron Head is a big risk here. That Confusion should be running out pretty soon. The clock's reset on Weather. Sand's starting up with 1 turn. And Mawile is still really low on health, but Smeargle's not providing any threat, so it's really just Abomasnow trying to find a way out. Still confused, Smeargle hits itself instead of going for Follow Me. Torrentiar going for Dark Pulse, definitely fearing the Dark Void, knowing that Safeguard has run out. Dark Pulse gets the KO, knocks out Smeargle. There's no more fear, especially with that special defense drop. Let me refresh real quick. Especially with the special defense drop, and Mawile, I think, just went for Iron Head and got the KO on Abomasnow. So Caleb looks like he's almost locked this down, actually. There's a lot of control on his end, and there's no more Mega option on that Aerodactyl for Porengan. And Nidoking's already knocked out, so Caleb's up 4-1 with Mawile and Torrentiar in. Sand's up, keeping that Mega Aerodactyl that's not going to Mega in good shape, but Sucker Punch does a ton of damage, critical hitting, knocking out Aerodactyl, and it looks like Caleb has secured his team's berth in the semi-final round of NPA. Excellent job, Caleb. It's very well played from both players. Game 1 was excellent, Game 2 was excellent, Game 3 a little bit more of a blowout. It turns out Caleb kind of got it figured out how he wanted to play, and bringing Mawile turned out to be his saving grace. 4-0 victory for Caleb. It's really impressive when you see a player go from a narrow loss to a 4-0 victory. It shows that he's really figured out how to deal with the other team that he's coming up against. And it was definitely a wonderful match to commentate. I'm very thankful for that. I apologize for lag issues. It's a little weird from my end, but excellent job, Blitz. It was played to perfection that last match. Scarf Torrentiar definitely gets MVP from Mancuso and Caleb. It didn't necessarily have a big impact. I mean, Meowstic had a huge impact for Caleb, but between those 2 matches, it did a great job. I think part of it with Porengan is that he just has to, he had to play that team really safely because it's so, fast and powerful, and that makes it more risky. So, shout out to Dwee, just for fun. Shout out to anyone else who's commentated and done a significantly better job than me. It's a lot of and whatnot. Excellently played match by both Caleb and Porengan. Shout out to Boiler Room. Shout out to the whole shebang. I probably shouldn't be doing that. It's kind of immature. But oh well. Pokemon is a big community thing, and I'm really glad to be helping out with this because I believe in the community, I guess. So, thanks for letting me commentate Caleb and Porengan, and excellent match, well played, and I look forward to seeing more matches in the future from NPA.